Four series on the spin for the Marlins. They lean heavily on their pitching. The pitching is back. The offense is scrappy. The Marlins are winning games. They're only 8 games back. Could they get themselves back in it? This is Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins. This is your daily Marlins podcast. I'm your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up, of course, at Miami Marlins _UK. If you're listening to the pod, of course, hit subscribe and leave a review. This is your team every day, and thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. There is a YouTube channel. Also, hit subscribe over there on the YouTube channel. It's also called Locked On Marlins. Join me there. Subscribe. Join me in the comments as well. Please, I'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts on the episodes and the Marlins in general. Happy Memorial Day to everyone over in the States, which is 95% of you per the stats that I see. So, I hope everyone is having an enjoyable bank holiday Monday. It is also a bank holiday Monday here in the UK as well. So I have to call that out. That has been no work for me. All tennis for me. A lot of tennis going on. This is not Locked On tennis, but nevertheless, Rafa Nadal exits Roland Garros in the first round. So big shocker there. Well, not a shocker, but an emotive one. Anyway, let's move on to the Marlins and let's welcome our guest. The loud Marlins fan is back in the house. Chase Blake, how we doing, brother?
Happy Monday, Peter. Glad you got the day off. Over here we are memorializing those who gave their lives for our military and thankful for them to have this opportunity to speak with you about baseball and watch it on TV and eat my hot dogs. So happy day for that.
No doubt. I've seen those hot dogs on Twitter already. They look impressive, no doubt. Before we get into the action here, this episode is brought to you by Gametime. You can download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, Chase. 4 series in a row for the Marlins. Like, after this ridiculous start, they found their groove, and they're playing some good ball now, right?
They're playing great ball. Better ball, we'll call it. Not great. They're playing good baseball finally. It's all about pitching. It's always been the backbone of this team. On previous episodes we've discussed, if you were to say, hey, your pitching is going to go down in spring and you're only going to have 2 viable starters, you would have laughed. But, you're getting healthier. You got Brax back. What a stunning episode or a stunning game he had on a Friday. You have Luzardo back. Being the Luzardo, you have that bullpen running because they're not pitching so much every game. And really, you have only one starter flaw in Sixto. But you know what? A 2-run first inning for Sixto is a good first inning for Sixto.
Progress.
Got to be
progress on Sixto. Yeah, you're right. This, when you look at why things have turned around, to your point, it all starts with the starting pitching. And I think when we go back to the start of the year, everything just went against the Marlins. They had the terrible bad luck. All of the bad luck was just kind of going against them, but equally, clearly all the injuries hit in as well. And so it was kind of like, compounded really, the injuries, the bad luck, and they just got on a bit of a tailspin there to start. But now things have kind of settled down. They're in the groove. The rotation's kind of back and performing. And, considering, back end of May now at this point, they're 8 games back in the wild card. But, what are your expectations at this point for the year? Could they legitimately piece things together and get back in the hunt at all?
70 wins at this point would be a win for our team.
Okay. So they're not getting back in it then?
No. Well, you have to jump so many teams right now. But if they can keep winning series, problem is you got to jump 3 teams in your own division. And you have to win those division games. And so far this season, to any team not named the Mets, well, no, I think we beat the Phillies at least 1 game. But we've been swept 4 games by Washington. We've been swept by the Braves, I think 3 games, if not 6 already. And you got to win those games. What you have left versus your division rivals. So you got to jump them. And what got us in the wild card spot, or at least the ability to clinch it a game early last year, was the tiebreakers. So as long as you win these series, anything could happen. Let's be realistic. 70 wins at this point, when I think they're on target now to win 55, would be a win for a big win and a big confidence builder going into next year.
What's been your impression of Skip Schumacher's management of the Marlins this season to date?
I can't say anything bad about Skip, Pete, because he wringed my neck, and I mean this. I don't think I've talked to you about it, but personally, I called Skip an idiot a few weeks ago. It was a Saturday night when he pulled Jesus Luzardo at 75 pitches with 2 outs, and he just struck out Bryce Harper. It was in that Phillies series, and I called him an idiot. I said, idiot Skip, idioto Skippy pulls starting pitcher, then bullpen blows the game. He wrote me a personal message. We had he was very heated discussion, and he put me in my place. So, I can't say anything bad about him. I have nothing but respect. And even after that conversation, for him to call me out, a regular fan saying, look, I'm not an idiot. I planned this stuff ahead of time. It makes me get more into his head and shows how much he still does care about this team. So I think Skip's done a great job, a very non-idiotic job in how he's managed the team over the course of the season. And you know what? They are who they were last year, if you want to say, over the last 4 series. They're a scrappy team with pitching, and it's all about that. The shutouts, I think, are more impressive to me because, that's pretty – I think we got 5 or 6 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's that again, it just comes back to the pitching, right? Like, that's the backbone. That was the phrase you used, which is the right one. Just going back to Skip, though, what was your take on how he handled this Sixto Sanchez situation, in public, kind of calling it out, but equally after Sixto's start this weekend, which was his best start of the year, he again took the time to call out that Sixto was taking things on board, was making some adjustments to his preparation, his kind of, I guess, training methods between starts. So, it's been pretty public the way Skip's managed this, but it feels like it's getting the desired effect, right?
If you go back to spring, when he even said he wasn't expecting him to make the team at the beginning of spring training, when the pitchers and catchers came in on February 14th, to when he earned a role on this team or a roster spot to giving him the starting role, he's handled it with class. And I think everything's strategic, I've learned from Skip Schumacher, with appreciation of it. So that was something that he thought he had to do, is call it out in the public, maybe catch the eye or the ear of Sixto, because whatever in-house was not working. So, you know what? It's one start. He still gave up a few runs, but, a few runs is better than 6 runs or 5 runs. So we'll see what happens in the next one if he grows from it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to carry on talking about the starters shortly, but just on Skip, just wanted to kind of give my view on this one at this point. This team could have been in a true death spiral in many ways. The start they had, the decision to trade Arias at the start of May, things could have got out of really badly out of hand here. And for me, Skip Schumacher has continued to just manage as best he can with the guys he's got at his disposal. But every time I hear from Skip post-game and talking about decisions, players, roles, situations, everything, I'm just truly blown away by Skip Schumacher. I think, honestly, he's the Marlins manager and it's a small market. There's not as many eyeballs on that. But I truly believe that Skip Schumacher is one of the best managers in the game already. And I know he's only a few years into his managerial career at this point, but I continue to be so impressed with Skip Schumacher. And to your point, there's nothing bad I could ever say about Skip Schumacher, the reigning manager of the year as well, right?
Yeah, if I could just end it with, again, I said something horrible about him. I'm very apologetic to him. It wasn't meant. It was a heat of the moment fan comment. It's not how I really think about him. And it's very classy the way he handled that. And I'm not going to ever share the conversation or whatnot. But regarding him as one of the best managers, I agree with you. I just wish and I hope there's an opportunity for him to continue managing the Marlins after this season. You know, in our minds, he asked for it. It came out, or it was reported, he asked for the Marlins not to execute the keep clause or the extension clause for that one season.
Yep.
You hope that doesn't really terminate the full relationship with us, and you hope that he can be the Joe Torre of the Marlins, or the guy who can, or the Bruce Bochy, if you want to go back to the Giants term when he was with them for like 10 years. You just hope he stays.
Percentage that he stays, in your opinion, at this point?
30.
Okay, that's higher than probably I had it earlier. But yeah, I maybe tend to agree with you. I'm slightly more enthused that there could be a route forward here for Skip and the Marlins.
Right. There's a lot of other things that have to occur here. I do think that if that St. Louis job opens up, that's where he would go. But we don't know if that job's opening up. So we got to see how they continue to play. You know, they just swept the Orioles and they had, I forget, the Cubbies. I don't know how that series went. I didn't follow, but
I think they swept them as well. I think they've won 8 on the spin or something, the Cardinals. So they're back in the hunt, I think.
So the role may not be open for Skip.
This is it. It changes so quick, right?
That's that 30% right there.
There you go. Yeah, makes sense. Let's, well, when we come back, the question I'm going to pose to you is, who is the Marlins ace at this point, Chase? So dwell on that for a second. Before we do that, it's time to let you know about our good friends over at Gametime. And Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Gametime, on the Gametime app, actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. And with killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So you can prioritize those last-minute deals, saving up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They've got the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a cheaper seat in the same section. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. You can download the Gametime app. You can create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, guys, back here with me, Peter Pratt, and the Loud Marlins fan, of course, in the house. And we are considering who is the Marlins ace at this point. There are many options. Luzardo's back, twirling it. Braxton Garrett's just thrown a Maddox. Weathers on a 5-quality start streak. Man, oh man. I mean, and Sixto with his best start of the season. Trevor Rogers going this evening, so his chance to add to, you know, his argument in this case. But from your perspective, you know, who do you most trust at this point from this rotation?
I'd have to go with Weathers right now.
No, baby.
It's
we wouldn't have thought we'd said that, right?
No, it's very difficult. It's not that I don't trust Luzardo, but you got to go with the guy who's been there from the beginning of the season and who you've seen kind of grow and over the last, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 starts. You know, Weathers kind of been lights out for the most part. I can't say Braxton Garrett, although he had a magical career game on Friday, going the distance, 9-inning shutout. But you can't really say him because the game before he didn't have such a good game. So overall, I'm gonna go with Weathers. I'd like to say Luzardo, but maybe we don't have an ace. Maybe we just have a great team of pitchers. Yeah. But if I have to start one right now, and if I have to send one of them to the All-Star game, it's going to be Ryan Weathers.
Yeah, do you think Ryan Weathers gets the nod if things continue here for the Marlins as the All-Star representative?
I believe we may have a few pitchers in there. Tanner Scott definitely deserves, as of right now, to be on that roster coming out of the bullpen. You have Ryan Weathers. DLC is quietly having a 1 or 2 hit game. He may not be hitting the bombs he was 2 weeks ago, but he's still he's not going 0 for 4, 0 for 5 any game, we'll say. So if you're going to have a position player, I'm going to go DLC. If you're going to have a pitcher, I'm going to go Ryan Weathers or Tanner Scott at this point.
Yeah, Tanner Scott has been back to his best. I mean, it was a sluggish start. His spring was poor. Start of the year was poor. To your point earlier, the bullpen was just being asked to do a little bit too much. It felt like it came in a little bit undercooked, to be honest with you. Like, Nardi really struggled. Scott struggled. Bender struggled. Like, they took a while to find their groove, and obviously Puck was in the rotation at that point. Feels like since Puck has returned, this bullpen's kind of clicked in. I know Puck gave up a blown save the other day as well, but, it does. He has kind of, in some ways, maybe added some confidence in there. But I just want to go back to Weathers and, calling this out, really. It's kind of the same story as Luzardo in many ways, right? Kim Ang, she swings the deal. She gets a former, top pitching prospect that's kind of flaming out on the West Coast, gets him into Miami. Then all of a sudden, Mel Stottlemyre Jr. takes over and the Marlins way takes over. I mean, they can't half develop some pitching. So impressive, but not totally unexpected, in my opinion, because, well, we've seen this story before, right? Yeah. So the question I'm leading into here is specifically linked to Mel Stottlemyre Jr. We've been talking about Skip Schumacher, his future. The question that's on my mind, really, and I think probably is the most important question, is what the future looks like for Mel Stottlemyre Jr. with the Marlins.
Yeah, I think, I don't know his contract. I think it was a long-term deal. I don't know if it was 2 years or 4 years. I think it was more in the 4-year term. It wasn't rolling with Skips. Remember, he was the only layover from the Mattingly era, and they signed him for it. And you see my faces. I apologize. I'm watching the Twins blow this game right now. Duran has allowed 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th, and the Twins are about to the Royals are about to tie the Twins. Sorry about that. So live baseball, right? So back to the pitching coach. He deserves to be here. I got to look up his contract. I can't because I'm using my phone for this. But if I could see him long term, I could see him being, even if we bring in a new guy, him staying. I think money talks. And you really can't lose him, especially with Sandy and Yuri coming back at the end of at the middle of next season, if not the beginning. So you really got to rely on Mel to be here.
Yeah, no doubt. I actually don't know myself. I know, well, the reports at the time were a multi-year extension at the back end of 22. So to kind of bring that to life, 23 and 24 would be multiple years. And so the question remains in my head now at this point is Mel Stottlemyre Jr. a free agent? Does his contract expire at the end of this season? I'll have to ask Craig Mish. He'll know. He broke the news at the time. So hopefully Craig's patched into that. But yeah, for me, like, I know there's a lot of talk about Skip, rightly so. I've already said I think he's already one of the best managers in the game. And like, I listen to the pressers, other teams' pressers, other managers talking. Skip Schumacher's just different to me. How he engages with the media. I know it's a different media situation in Miami versus some other markets, but Skip to me just comes off so well. He's so knowledgeable. Everything is so calculated with Skip. And he is a real shining light in my opinion. But Mel Stottlemyre is such a big part of this club too. And listen, if Skip goes plus Mel, who knows what they do in terms of this like retool and whatever. But man, oh man, it feels like, trying to get some of this sorted sooner rather than later would be beneficial.
And I'll take it from Skip's mouth of how he feels about his staff and how much they mean to his success. Mel is a big part of Skip's success, getting the best out of these pitchers. So you'd like to think that at least if we lose Skip, that Mel will stay. Again, maybe tomorrow's episode, you'll ask the next guest of yours and have more information about it, and maybe can enlighten us all who follow you every day.
Yeah, I'll have to get my investigative journalism.
Google,
all that, which is also known as investigative journalism these days, I guess. Just Google it and Mel Stottlemyre's contract runs out at the end of 24. Oh no. So I get it. It's going to be irrespective of, if Skip moves on, there will be a conversation to be had around all of the staff. And so, whether Mel's under contract, whether he's not, there'll be a conversation irrespective. The conversation should be a short one because he's proven it time and again. And we've seen it with Ryan Weathers. So let's carry on this conversation because I did want to dig specifically into Weathers. I also want to talk about Sixto. And I feel like we also need to talk about the big MLB news from yesterday of Ronald Acuna Jr. Another knee injury. Unfortunately, the other knee and also out for the year, complete tear of the ACL. Huge news for Major League Baseball. Huge news for the Bravos. The interesting part here is, could there be a trade in the works between the Bravos and the Marlins? So we'll cover that in a second. Before we do that, it's time to let you know about our new good friends. And it's a new sponsor here. And it is our good friend. No, wrong graphics. It's our new friends at Supply House. Yes, sir. And you can get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get your job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right, guys, back here with me, Peter Pratt, and the Loud Marlins fan. And we are talking, I want to talk a little bit more about Ryan Weathers. It feels right. 5 quality starts on the bounce. This, for me, Chase, is entering Sandy Alcantara territory in terms of his reliability, his durability. I know it feels a stretch, but this is a Sandy-like run where you give the ball to someone and you trust them to go 6+ time after time after time. I'm not saying he's Sandy Alcantara, but this is what we're seeing from Ryan Weathers. And I don't think really anyone expected this type of production from him. So how surprised have you been with his performance this year?
I'm surprised by the performance. Again, going back to Mel, you hope that you can build a pitcher into what they've built Weathers into. I remember seeing Ryan Weathers. It was one of his first starts as a Padre versus the Marlins, and I think it was 22. And you really just saw he was lights out for 5 or 6 innings versus us. Not saying that 22 team was good, but this was I want to say August or September game, and he really lit it up. So, you saw him young. You get him at a pivotal point in his career, kind of like Luzardo at a pivotal point. Where is he a starter? Is he a bullpen guy? Is he major league ready? Does he have to go into AAA? And if these injuries didn't happen, he may have started in AAA. So everything happens with a purpose, and this purpose was give the guy the chance. 5 quality starts. You compare it to Sandy. I'll just compare it to what it is, a major league pitcher. He is showing he is a major league pitcher because you should be able to rely on every pitcher in your staff, 1 through 5, to go 5 to 6 innings and not give up 5 runs. A couple runs here and there, and he's done even better than that. So I won't say he's on Sandy's level because no one is on Sandy's level, as you said.
No.
But in comparison, this is a Pablo level type run or a Luzardo level type run over the last couple years. It's a bona fide starter in your rotation who's learning different ways, and he's not even using that sweeper all the time. And that's just another pitch in his arsenal that he's getting guys to strike out on.
It's been an impressive run, no doubt. That's the thing for me, and really stood out. And just his ability to go deep into games, and it's predominantly driven by the fact that he's just drawing a ton of ground balls. Like the outs are heavily linked to ground balls. And so, again, there's some connection to Sandy and the way he goes about it. And this is how you go deep into games. This is the difference for like a Luzardo who, in my opinion, Luzardo wants to strike everyone out. Like he is there trying to strike every single dude out. And the problem with that is it takes a lot of pitches to strike him out. And, you know, he struggles to go really regularly, consistently deep into games. Weathers is getting more comfortable at pitching to contact, drawing the ground balls. That increases your efficiency. You need to execute it clearly, but like that's the difference. Luzardo's approach and game plan is completely different. It's kind of the same as Eddie Cabrera. I feel like Cabrera wants to strike everyone out as well, and then he wants to walk everyone. But I've been super impressed with Weathers, and you know it's been really encouraging to see his progression. I still feel like there's more in the tank. Like this is only a few months in. Like I still feel like there's more growth from Weathers, which is encouraging.
Same.
Let's segue it into the big news from Major League Baseball yesterday. Ronald Acuna Jr. exits the game. He ends up the report after it torn ACL on the other knee. Obviously, it's nearly a couple of years to almost the exact date where he tore his knee against the Marlins in that Jazz Chisholm Jr. Fielding incident. There was a inside the park home run, but huge news for the Bravos, terrible news for the Bravos, terrible news for Ronald Acuna Jr. But the interesting part here is for a team that's all in but lacks depth, they're going to be seeking replacements rapidly. I'm very interested to see, considering what we saw last time around where Duvall ended up in Atlanta, whether there's a situation that could come together here and who that could be. Like, they need an outfielder. Who could the likely outfielder be from the Marlins that ends up on the Bravos roster this year?
Well, speaking about the Braves, and I'll answer your question. 10 seconds are already down at the bottom of the second, and they're down 5-0 right now versus the Nationals as we're recording this.
Oh, man.
The ball just struck out or popped out. Sorry. To answer your question, I don't think any Marlins really fit what the Braves need right now, nor do the Braves match up with what the Marlins need. I asked a couple Braves people who follow me what, in personal conversations, what they have to offer out of their AAA or minor league right now, and it's nothing but pitching. They don't have the depth that we would seek to trade one of our stars. I don't think that Jazz would be a good fit there, although his personality is a lot like Acuna. Jazz has 4 years left or 3 years left to control after this season. Same with Brian De La Cruz. Brian De La Cruz has 3 or 4 years left of control. It's not a move like Duvall where he had an option, which that was a boneheaded trade. One of Kim's worst trades, I'll say, for in 2021 when he gave up Duvall for that catcher Jackson who couldn't hit. Although he's in the major leagues, I think right now. I think he was with Tampa Bay last time I saw him or something.
He's back with the Rays, you're right.
Yeah, but in regards to who they're going to go after, the Giants signed Jorge Soler, and the Giants aren't going anywhere. It's a team-friendly deal at $42 million back paid, so it's only like $2 million this year or $4 million. I forget what your numbers. I know that you had posted that at some point. They could go get Soler right now. They already have Duvall. Jock Pederson is available. Also,
let's go.
Why not just
get the old band
the
together?
2021 team? And they've been through this. They're right now, I think, 10 games over 500 coming into today's game. Not that this is Braves talk, but they're 10 games over 500 right now. They're 8 games back. It looked like, I think, of the Phillies, and they're leading the wild card with, I think, a 5-game lead. So, I think the Braves will be fine.
Me too.
Acuna wasn't having his star year, and you got to kind of think back to spring when he was taken out for a knee injury. Did that start this and it not rehab correctly? It's what we don't know because he missed a lot of spring with a knee problem. They said it wasn't his knee that he got injured. So, I think it's his right one now, if not left. I don't know which one was injured, but it is the opposite. So you don't know if it was pre-injured and just set up to rip. In regards to Ronald Acuna, I want to publicly state, I heckle him a lot. I call him Crybaby Acuna. It's all in good fun. You never, no matter what team you hate, root for, root against, want any player to go down, especially the stars of baseball, because the game is better while you're heckling them, while you're playing them. So, Ronnie, if you ever listen to this, and Braves fans that do know that, I wish him the best, and I can't wait to call him Crybaby Acuna to his face next season.
For sure. For sure. It's an interesting one for the Braves. I'm completely aligned with you, by the way, that the Braves are fine. The division means kind of nothing really anyway. Like the division, the old focus on divisions, it's just about getting in. We've seen that year after year after year in recent expanded postseason. So the Bravos will likely probably go on a crazy run and win the division anyway. But, even if they don't, they'll end up being one of the top wildcard seeds. They'll get in and it'll be fun. I'm very interested to see what the moves are, though, because, I think I love their GM. I think he is super aggressive, super creative. And I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there that, like, I wonder if there's any way that Avisail Garcia could end up because in that 2021 season where they ended up with, not just Duvall, not just Soler, but they also ended up with Panda was in there as well. He ended up coming across the Panda. What the hell was his name? Pablo Sandoval, right?
Yep.
He ended up over there, which sounded like one of the wildest moves. But next thing is he was a contributor.
Yeah.
I just wonder, could there be some sort of way that Avisail Garcia ends up on the Braves, just adding some roster depth in the outfield? Who knows? Could that happen?
As we're recording this, the Fish on First just popped up on my screen that he's going to start rehab. Is Avisail Garcia.
There you go.
So it's primed and ready for that trade. We'll pay half of it, Braves. Just take him, please.
Yeah, probably 3/4, I'd say.
Take him.
Yeah,
give us a Jackson-type player back. Just take him off our team.
I could see it, no doubt. One final one, then we'll get out of here, running long on time. The Marlins just about to start a 3-game series against the Padres, and that means that the Marlins face off against Luis Arias for the first time since he was traded. He's been hot. Unsurprisingly, he's been typical Luis Arias. What are you expecting from him this series against the Padres? They've been a little bit up and down, I feel like, a little bit inconsistent too, but Arias has been solid. But what are you expecting from him?
They just lost 2 games to the Yankees. They went 2-1 at home in San Diego. Now you have Arias versus old team. I fully expect him to get a hit, at least 1 hit in every game. It's just who he is. You just got to keep it to singles. You don't want that revenge home run, the type that wins you a game. But you know what? A single is a single. Just get the next 2 and 3 guys out after him.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be going against Trevor Rogers in game 1, Jesus Luzardo game 2, and back around to Braxy then in game 3. So, a lot of lefties he's going to be facing. So it's not going to be the easiest. I mean, Arias is still amazing against lefties. There's no real platoon issue. But yeah, it's going to be good to see Arias. I'm interested to see how many times the first base umpire gets absolutely pinged on the chest. One thing that I did note, it was very funny, I think. I haven't spoke about this on this show, I don't think. But, he gets his first hit, gets up to first base as a Padre, and he absolutely, does the usual John Jay, blasts him in the chest. And the first base coach was caught off guard. Like, he kind of, gave it that acted, the shock reaction. Then he was a bit like, oh, yeah, of course, that's how he celebrates. But the first base coach definitely had not read the scouting report on Luis Arias' celebrations at first base. So, yeah, it's going to be good to see him back. Everyone, I think, all Marlins fans absolutely love the guy. Wish him nothing but the best. And so, hopefully it's a fun series. But hopefully the Marlins keep this momentum going. And I think with these 3 pitchers going, particularly if Trevor gets a nice start today, then, it really sets up well for the Marlins. So we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks to you, Chase, for joining me on Monday's episode. Guys, it's been Locked On Marlins with me, Peter Pratt. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. We're going to be reviewing game 1, but also I'm going to look a little bit more deeply at maybe some Marlins Braves trades and seeing what a package could look like as well as we get into this week. I look forward to seeing you then.